The room fell silent the moment Jungkook stepped into the grand ballroom of the Conrad Seoul Hotel. Dressed in an understated navy suit, his presence alone seemed to hush the low murmurs of reporters and media figures from across the world. The surprise press conference, announced barely 48 hours prior by hype labels, had already ignited a storm of speculation. Was it about his music career? Military-related news? A collaboration? Or something more personal, something the fans had only dared whisper about? But no one was fully prepared for what Jungkook was about to share. The cameras clicked softly as he walked to the podium, eyes scanning the room, a quiet composure layered with hints of vulnerability resting on his face. Behind him, the backdrop was minimal, white and silver with a simple phase at the center, a moment to speak. And then, with a soft breath and a brief nod, he began. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've waited a long time to speak from the heart, not as Jungkook of BTS, not as a performer, but simply as myself." His words hung in the air like fog, inviting the room to listen closer. For the first time in over a year, Jungkook was opening a window into his private world, a world fans had only glimpsed through social media posts, lyrics, and distant rumors. This moment, filtered and raw, was about reclaiming his own narrative. He continued, explaining that the last 12 months had been a period of deep self-reflection. After the whirlwind of his solo debut and the global attention that followed, he found himself lost in the constant noise of fame. "There came a point," he said, "where I didn't recognize my own thoughts anymore. Everything felt like it was moving too fast, the music, the expectations, even my own heartbeat." Followed was a rare confession. Jungkook spoke of burnout, of nights when he would stare at the ceiling wondering who he was without a microphone in hand, of the growing disconnect between his inner self and the image the world had carved out for him. These weren't words from a superstar, they were the words of a 27-year-old trying to navigate adulthood while carrying the weight of a generation's love. Then came the revelation, quiet, almost shy. "I found comfort in someone who didn't care whether I topped charts or trended online," he said, pausing. "Someone who reminded me of what it feels like to laugh without filters, to be seen for who I am." The air changed. Every ear in the room leaned forward. And then, with a soft smile, he said it. "That someone is Winter, from aespa." No dramatic pause. No need for spectacle. Just truth, delivered with the kind of sincerity that silences 1,000 camera shutters. The room held its breath. Interrupted, not in noise, but in a collective emotional shift. The truth was out, and it was beautiful in its simplicity. For months, rumors of Jungkook and Winter had been circulating. Fans had analyzed every Instagram post, every award show glance, even Spotify playlists, but both artists had remained silent. Until now. "We're not here to confirm wedding dates," Jungkook added with a chuckle that broke the tension. "Not getting married. We're just starting something." Carefully, quietly, he went on to describe their relationship not as a headline but as a journey. A beginning. Not a secret love affair, but a connection born from respect and mutual understanding. "I've learned that the most valuable things in life grow best in silence," he said, "and we've both chosen to nurture this bond in our own time." Reporters asked about their first meeting, and Jungkook shared that they initially connected during the SBS Gayoljin in late 2023, where both had participated in a collaborative segment. At the time, it was just casual conversation backstage, two artists sharing mutual admiration for each other's stage presence. But what started as fleeting moments became late-night phone calls, then unplanned walks in Seoul. Eventually long, quiet evenings away from cameras. "We didn't plan it," he admitted. "It was never part of some timeline. Heart doesn't really care about timing, does it?" Conversation naturally shifted to the marriage rumors that had exploded across the internet just weeks prior. Tabloid photos, speculative posts, even false claims of secret ceremonies had taken over social media. Jungkook shook his head gently. "We both laughed at those headlines," he said. "But honestly, it was also frustrating. We are just two people figuring it out. Why rush us into something we haven't even thought about ourselves yet?" He emphasized that while the support from fans meant the world to them, the pressure to conform to public fantasies could often be suffocating. Love is not a PR strategy. It's not a plot twist. It's something very human, and we're treating it as such. As the press listened intently, Jungkook also took time to speak about his professional journey. He confirmed that he's working on his second solo album, describing it as more stripped down, more real. He wants to explore genres outside the mainstream, something that lets me breathe, he explained. His upcoming music, he hinted, would be more about storytelling than sound, diving into themes of identity, purpose, of without expectation. Beyond music, Jungkook also shared aspirations of working behind the scenes in production. Mentoring younger artists was a passion he hadn't spoken much about before. I see a lot of myself in these new trainees, he said. I want to help them hold on to their light before the world tells them who to be. He also addressed the long-anticipated military service, saying he plans to enlist later in the year. Something I've always been prepared for, he said, and I'll go with a full heart, knowing I've spoken my truth before stepping away. The press conference neared its end. Jungkook grew more reflective. He thanked his BTS members for their support, noting that RM and J-Hope in particular had been sounding boards for his decisions over the past few months. They're more than brothers, anchors, he said. He almost mentioned his mother, quietly but meaningfully. I told her about Winter. She smiled and said, as long as she makes you less lonely, that's all I care about. It was in these small, sincere moments that Jungkook reminded the world why he is so beloved, not just for his voice or artistry, but for his soul. The boy who once stood nervously on a trainee stage was now a man opening his life with courage and honesty. But the story didn't end with the press conference. In the days that followed, new details emerged, not through gossip columns, but through shared interviews, social media posts, and quiet confirmations. The love story that began in the shadows had now stepped gently into the light. Jungkook and Winter, whose real name is Kim Min-jeong, reportedly began their friendship through shared music interests. Sources close to both idols revealed they often exchanged playlists, late-night demo recordings, and even unfinished lyrics. One mutual friend said, they were both night owls, both perfectionists. It was inevitable they'd find something in each other. A brief joint statement posted on Hyben SM Entertainment's official accounts, both artists clarified that while they were spending more time together, they were still in the early stages of learning about one another. We ask for understanding as we take our time with this connection. There's no script, only sincerity, the message read. Response from fans was largely supportive. A global wave of trending hashtags like #HappyForJungkook and #WinterWithYou flooded X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Weverse. One Brazilian fan wrote, they don't owe us a fairy tale, just owe themselves happiness. Another post from a Korean fan simply read, if it's sincere, I support it. Winter, although not present at the press conference, posted a story on Bubble shortly after. It featured a photo of a clouded sky, captioned with one word, brave. In the following weeks, the two were seen separately attending schedules. No official appearances together were made. Friends of the couple stated that they were prioritizing privacy and normalcy. One described their dates as quiet moments walking along the Han River, not headline material. Close friend of Winter reportedly said, what they have isn't flashy. It's just real. Jungkook continued to prepare for his album, and Winter resumed group activities with aespa. Both were seen smiling more in public, their energy lighter. It seemed that the emotional press talk had lifted a burden they'd both been silently carrying. When asked again about the future, Jungkook offered a final quote that echoed louder than any chart topper. I don't know where this path will go, but for once, I'm not walking it alone. He looked out across the room one last time, and the applause that followed was not for an idol. It was for a man who had dared to speak his truth. For a woman who had quietly walked beside him. There would be no wedding bells, not yet. No grand declarations or fairy tale endings. Just two artists, deeply human, slowly falling into something that felt like love. Sometimes, that's the most beautiful kind of